Hello. The image that you just saw was of an abacus dealer in old Japan. Abacus were an important form of calculating tool in Japan and around the world right into the modern period. And there are various forms of abacus that were used in Japan, and it's possible to date them based on the bead count that they have. The item that we're offering with this listing is this particular Soroban abacus. Soroban is just a word the Japanese use to describe an abacus. And this is a rather long Soroban. It has a particularly long and narrow body, and the wood appears to be boxwood on the bottom and then oak along the edges. I'm not sure about what wood was used to make the beads, although they are wood. The bead shafts are very interesting. They're actually shaved bamboo tines. It takes a good deal of skill to produce these well-rounded bamboo shafts for use with an abacus like this. Took a highly skilled craftsman to make these items during the time that they were in common use. You can also see very nice wood joint, for example, right there. A little jointed surface there. Anyway, so on to age. Basically, up until 1850, the abacuses used in Japan had a bead count of 5-2. What that meant was that there were 5 beads on the lower part and then 2 beads on the upper part here. That changed to a 5-1 bead count after 1850, and that was the status quo until 1930, when a 4-1 bead count became the norm. There were 4 beads on the lower deck and 1 bead on the upper deck. And most Japanese who learn to use an abacus, and most Japanese that know how to use an abacus at all these days, will know how to use the 1-4 bead count. Periodically, if you're lucky and you're traveling around Japan and you go into an old confectionery store or maybe an old tea shop or something like that where a very old person is working, you may have the pleasure of seeing someone actually operate an old abacus like this. I used to see it more often, but now it's becoming very rare. If you hand this abacus, for example, to modern Japanese, even someone who's been trained with how to use an abacus, they probably won't be able to use it because they're unfamiliar with this particular bead count. This abacus does use the 5-1 bead count, so that identifies its date of manufacture as somewhere between 1850 and 1930. I estimate that it's probably more in the 1930 range. The condition is very good. The quality is nice, and it simply it looks newer than 19th century. There are carved kanji characters along the line here that identify the first dozen or so shafts. And as you can hear, the beads slide very well. This Soroban could actually be used or make a great display item. Well, thank you very much for dropping by to have a look at this lovely old Soroban. I hope you've enjoyed learning more about Soroban. Please let us know if you have any questions. Take care for now. Bye-bye.